Bezat Hashem begins. So we're in. So now Shemuel. We're in the beginning of Perek of chapter 3. Thank you very much. And so that's on the bottom of this page. Ve'anar Shemuel mesharet et Adonai lifnei Eli udvar Adonai haya yakar bayamim hahem en chazon nifratz. So he says over here that Shemuel was serving Hashem before Eli. Serving Hashem before Eli, he was diligent, he was very committed, he was very loyal. Vayi bayomahu, and it was in that day, Pasuk Bet 2, Ve'eli shochev bimkomo. Eli is resting in his place. Ve'enav hechelu kehot, his eyes became keheh, which became dark. Lo yuchal lirot, he could not see. So the mefarshim, the commentators, look at this and say, why is the verse telling us that Eli, bayom hahu, on that day Eli was sleeping? It wasn't night. Was it day? Was it daytime that Eli was sleeping? Or does it mean in that time? So some commentators here believe that it was actually also day, because as we said, ve'enav echelu kehot, his eyes began to be weakened, began to be dark, which means very sadly he began either to be blind, he turned blind in his old age, and or according to our commentators here, that his eyes became kehot, became heavy, is that he spiritually could not see, meaning to say he was a prophet. Eli was a prophet, and now the prophecy was taken away from him. Why was the prophecy taken away from him? So our commentators over here explain that because his children didn't go in his ways. We learned last week that his children would delay people from bringing the offerings. They would take food or meat from the offerings that were being set aside to the Bet HaMikdash, meaning to say, as a priest, as a Kohen, you bring your offering. There are different categories of sacrifices. Some sacrifices are 100% burnt to Hashem. Some are split between Hashem, the Kohen. Some also, the people that brought the sacrifice, they get to take some with them. But the first thing you have to do is set it aside for Hashem. What they did was they took first the basar, in a mazleg, in a fork, meaning they wanted to take a lot. And so they did very bad things. They didn't go after the way of Hashem. And Hashem already told Eli that he's taking the priesthood away from his family, and his children are not going to continue in his ways. So when it means that Eli was blind, it means he was physically blind. He couldn't see anymore. And it also means that he was spiritually blind by prophecy. His prophecy was weaning down. It was becoming less frequent and less and less qualitative. And so that's what it means that his eyes were weakened, and now he's sleeping. So is he sleeping in the day because that means he can't move because he's blind, so he's not very mobile. That's what this pasuk is telling him.
You're talking about Eli and not Samuel, right?
No, correct. Eli, he's the one that kind of is a foster person to Shmuel, because Shmuel is now brought to the temple by his mom, and Eli is there, the grand priest, and he's taking care of Shmuel. By the way, our commentators teach that the Levites also took care of Shmuel. So Eli was there, but also a lot of Levites took care of Shmuel because they were there, and Shmuel was from the tribe of Levi, and so they also took care of him while he was in the Bet HaMikdash. So you have a little boy that's in the Bet HaMikdash being kind of fostered and taken care of by all the people that work there, and that's where he grew up, that's how he grew up. V'ner Elohim terem yichbeh, and the candle of God before it turned off. U'Shmuel shochev, and Shmuel is laying down be'echal Adonai, in the sanctuary of Hashem, Asher Sham Aron Elohim, that over there the Aron, the holy Aron, the holy tabernacle, is in this place. Now this is very, very interesting. We just said that Shmuel was a what? Was he a Kohen or a Levi? He was a Levi. So how does it say over here that Shmuel was inside, resting in Hechal Hashem, in the sanctuary of Hashem? Levim are not even allowed to enter there. How is it that he is resting there? So our commentators teach that he wasn't necessarily resting there, rather he was in the area, but soon we're going to see why it's as if he's resting there, because he's going to hear a prophecy from Hashem. But what is very unique about this, the Radak, there's a very holy rabbi, his name is Rabbi David Benchlouch, he says, what does it mean that the candle of God didn't yet turn off? What is the candle of God? So we know that in the temple you had Ner Tamid. an everlasting flame. And every single synagogue you go, above where the Torah is, there's a ner tamid, there's an everlasting, it could be a candle, it could be a lamp, a light. It's always there, corresponding to the everlasting candle that we had in the temple, in the Beit HaMikdash, that never turned off. But the Radak wants to say something else. He says the candle of God is also the priests and the prophets and the leaders and the grand, big luminaries of the generation. So he says before, there's a midrash that says that Ad shelo yashkia HaKadosh Baruch Hu shimsho shel tzadik echad, hu mazriach shimsho shel tzadik acher. Before God takes down the sun of one righteous person, what does it mean take down the sun? Kind of that person passes away, or their phase of leadership has terminated. Before Hashem takes that down, takes down that sun, He already brings up the sun of the next one, the light of the next one. So this light is going down. As it's going down, it's already going up. The Midrash says, before Moshe Rabbeinu's light diminished, meaning he couldn't enter Israel and he couldn't lead us, who already arrived? Who do we already start seeing? Yoshua, Joshua. He's already over there, right? Also before the light or the sun of Eli goes down, what is HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? He brings up the light of Shemuel. And that's the same thing that happens over here. That's what it means. The candle of Hashem before it's off, it means that. Now,
what happened with Sarah and the candles, that she...
Sarah,
when she lighted the candle for Shabbat, it went down to the next Friday.
It went the whole week. The candle of Sarah, correct. There were three elements that were particular about the Sarah's tent. One of them was it was always a candle lit the whole week, Mishabbat to Shabbat. But according to the Pashtanim, which we call those that are like loyal to the text, meaning if it says this, let's try to aim for an explanation that is the closest to the pshat, which is to the literal translation of the verse. What does it really mean? That there was a candle, the everlasting candle that we had, and we had to rekindle it and add more oil to it every single day. So the time of day over here is that it says over here, it's right before the morning, because the candles were lit before the night and they stayed all night until the morning. So what does it mean that it's right before the morning? He says, we're about to read that Shmuel had a dream, he had a prophecy. And dreams, either they mean absolutely nothing, right? A dream is just, I don't know, you thought about something, you read something, you spoke about something, and then you're dreaming about it the next night. It could be nothing, or it could be something. It depends what time of night you're dreaming it about. In the beginning of the night, the middle of the night, and the last part of the night. Like Mama says that the last part of the night is when it's more meaningful, like right before you wake up. And so over here, this is like the end of the night, right before the morning. And so there's still a little bit of light in that candle. That's when Shmuel is having this dream prophecy. By the way, so we all understand there's no such thing as prophecy for many years already. We don't have prophecy. Prophecy was only in the time of the prophets. No such thing as prophecy today. So there are phases of expressions or of communication from Hashem to mankind. And this is still in the time of prophets. Shmuel and Levi, Samuel the prophets, we had other prophets, but there's no such thing as prophecy today. So one time, I don't know if I ever told you this, but I was a student in Jerusalem. I went on a bus to the Kotel, because that's where I studied, next to the Kotel, next to the Western Wall. And somebody told me that I met somebody on the bus next to me, very nice man, and he said he's from Arizona or something, and he came to Jerusalem because God told him to come here. So I never heard that before. I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm telling you, God told me to come here. I said, he's like, no, I'm telling you. Like God in my head told me to come to Jerusalem. So then I tried to inquire a little bit and understood that he's of the faith, that I think he was maybe some branch of some sort of Christianity that still believes that you can have prophecy. And of course in Judaism we don't have that at all whatsoever, but we can have messages, or Hashem can communicate to people through things that happen in our life, and He gives us cues, but not necessarily something that we hear or that we or in a dream or something like that. It could be that you could get a certain sign or a certain feeling, but not that kind of thing. But over here, we're going to see that it's a proper prophecy, and most prophecies were either in a dream or in a vision that you had to translate only if you were worthy and able and pious and kept yourself away and distance from physical pleasures and from other people, and you were like super, super available to that. And so that's something also very unique that they had. Anyway, so he's sleeping over there, and now we're in Pasuk Dalet, verse 4. Vayikra Adonai Shemuel vayomer hineni, and God called Shemuel, and he said, here I am. Now Shemuel doesn't know that this is God because he doesn't yet realize. And he said, here I am. Vayarotz el Eli, and he ran to Eli. And vayomer hineni ki karata li vayomer lo karata shuv shecha vayelech vayishkav. He said, hey Eli, did you call me? I heard somebody call me. He said, I didn't call you. Go back to sleep. Go back to bed. Okay, he goes back to bed. Pasuk Vav. Vayosef Adonai karo od Shemuel vayakom Shemuel vayelech el Eli vayomer hineni ki karata li vayomer lo karati bli shuv shecha. Again, he hears in the middle of the night, Shemuel, Shemuel. He's like, oh my God, who's calling me here? And he runs back to Eli, and he said, you called me? He said, I didn't call you, go back to bed. And a third time, he hears, Shemuel, Shemuel. Oh my God, who's that? And he gets up again, he runs to Eli again, and Eli says, okay. I think he's getting a prophecy from Hashem, and he just doesn't realize. Now, where is the discrepancy? Where's the problem? Why does Shmuel think that it's somebody else calling him and not that? How could it be? So number one, as we said, it was most likely dark, because if it was light, then you could distinguish who's in front of you, who's calling you is very, very dark. And so that's one thing over here. And secondly, he never imagined that he would get a prophecy. So Eli is telling him, and that's what the pasuk in pasuk Vav, verse 7 says, "Ushmuel terem yada et Adonai veterem yigaleh elav dvar Adonai." This is before he ever knew God. What do you mean he knew God? It's not about knowing that God exists. It's that receiving prophecy. He never received prophecy before. Veterem yigaleh elav dvar Hashem, before he ever had a word of Hashem reveal or appear to him. And now we already said this outside, verse 8 and 9. And now we're in verse 9. So Eli told Shmuel, go sleep again. And if you hear the word of Hashem again calling you, then wake up and say, speak, God, because your servant is here listening.
So Eli understood that in this point that God calling him.
Eli understood that God is calling him. So he said, next time you hear it, don't come to me. Just get up and say, Daber Amonai, speak God, because I'm listening. So it happens again. So this is the fourth time now. And it happens again. And again he calls, Vayavo Adonai vayitiyatza vayikra bepam kefam befam Shemuel Shemuel. Vayomer Shemuel daber ki shomea avdecha. So again, he hears Hashem calling him, Shemuel, Shemuel. Twice. And he gets up and he says, Daber, speak. Ki shomea avdecha, because your servant is hearing. He didn't say like Eli told him. What did Eli tell him? Wake up and say, speak, God, right? But what did Shemuel say? Speak. Daber, speak, because your servant is listening. But he didn't say God. So he didn't say God. Why didn't he say God? Because he was so humble, says Rashi, that he was so humble, he didn't even want, he said, maybe it's not God. I mean, Eli told me that it's God, but I don't know, maybe it's not. And so I'll say speak, and if it's God, it'll be God speaking. If it's somebody else, then we'll just have a conversation. So, yeah, that's it. That's.
So I'm wondering, when he's saying Shemuel, Shemuel, it could be he's just, but I was thinking of Hashem talking to Abraham and saying,
Twice.
Abraham, and there it was showing affection. It was like love that he
Yeah.
had for him. So wondering here if it's waking him up, Shemuel, Shemuel, wake up, or he's giving him that extra hug, that extra feeling of safety and
Yeah.
security that Hashem is with him.
Assurance and everything that's associated with that. I also noticed, why does it have to say it twice? And you had it with Avram, you had it with Moshe Rabbeinu.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's assurity, comfort, safety, security. Yeah. There's more of you know what, the Metzudat Sion, bless you, L'briut. Let me just see this one. Metzudat Sion. So there's a very famous commentary. Yeah, so that's a very important observation.
especially because this might be a scary situation for him, that he needs that extra.
He needs that extra calling out to him, and that goes a long way. That extra show of affection. So there's a.
Sweets? No.
Just water. Just
Water.
So there's a rabbi called Rabbi David Benchlouch, and his son Rabbi Yechiel Hillel. They wrote a commentary called Metzudat Zion, and they also touch on this. They say why twice. Hakefel ba lezarez et hanikra. So it also comes to kind of quicken the person hearing it. So Shmuel, like this is like, so he's really calling. I mean, it is the fourth time, so the fourth time that he's being called. But I do believe that there's also a deeper calling. It's a deeper calling, maybe a deeper calling of connection, affection, and surety. So God tells Samuel, listen, you know why I'm calling you? I'm about to do something in Israel that anybody that's going to hear this, his eyes are going to pop out. What does that mean? He's going to be so shocked. Something bad is going to happen to the Jews. And I have to tell it to you. And I need you to know about this. On that day, it's going to be a bad day for the Jewish people. There's going to be a bad war. And I already told Eli, the priest, about it. I already told him about it. But now I'm telling you. And I want you to know that this is going to happen. And I told him, Ki shofet ani et beto ad olam. I already told him that I'm judging his house, meaning I'm punishing his house. Ad olam, forever. Ba'avon asher yada ki mekalelim lahem bana velo kiha bahem. Because he knew, and we're in verse 13, he knew that his children are doing bad things, and he didn't stop them. Now, if you look back, last week we learned, Samuel did tell his children, come on, my sons, it's not nice what I'm hearing about you. That you're doing this, that you're doing that. Please, it's not nice. Please stop. So the question is, he did kind of tell them, right? But the idea over here is that he didn't tell them, as the Radak says, Lo yachol mishpati bezaro bezman katzuv, ela eshpot oto sheitbazu v'yitkatzu yemehem. So he says over here, the punishment for Eli and his children is not like a once-off punishment. Maybe they'll lose a war. Maybe they'll be kicked out of Israel or something. Him and the future generations of that family, they're all cut off from the priesthood. No more priest of that because he didn't engage in educating them the proper way. And the Ralbag is another commentator. He says, but he did. He went to them and he said, hey, I heard really bad things about you, and people all over Jerusalem are talking about you guys, that you're not bringing the offerings and you're taking it for yourself and you're delaying sacrifices. So he says he did tell them, but that's not called, says the Ralbag, rebuke. That's not proper rebuke. If you tell your children, no, I heard you're not behaving nicely, can you please stop? Is that like, no, that's not proper way.
Wasn't enough.
What? It wasn't enough. They were not. It's not that they were like weren't waking up for school. They were messing and they were interfering with sacrifices in the temple. It was terrible. And so he maybe because he was so righteous and so pious, then he was expected to do more. Now he ruled and he was a judge and he was a prophet for the Jewish people for 40 years. So it's a little sad to see that someone that did so many things for 40 years, that was the outcome of that was the ending of his life. But nonetheless, that's what happened. And we're verse 14. And Hashem says he's making a swear, an oath to the house of Eli. Whenever Hashem says that, not good. Not good. You know when Hashem made an oath for Amalek, he said he made an oath that his throne will not be full until we wipe out Amalek. So these like certain things like going all the way. So the same thing over here. Never will their sin be mitkaper. Kapara means be forgiven. Ad olam, forever. Bezevach ubemincha. Zevach and mincha is offerings and sacrifices. So the Gemara in Masechet Rosh Hashanah says, so God said He'll never forgive these children with any offerings, zevach, and mincha, and with any sacrifices. So the Gemara says that's right. because their sin was with the sacrifices. They took it for themselves. They stopped people. They did people. But you know what the Gemara says? There's something that could have helped them. Torah and Gemilut Chasadim. They could have done real teshuvah by studying Torah, because when you study Torah, it changes you. Your name is Mark, it becomes Michael. Your name is Sarah, it becomes Rebecca. That's what happens. When you study Torah, it changes you. You're not the same person. When you do teshuvah, what happens on Rosh Hashanah and Kippur? It said tefillah, teshuvah, tzedakah, ma'avirin et Torah gdera. You do teshuvah, you do tefillah, you do tzedakah, you do chesed. It changes you. Maybe something not so good should have happened to the person that's over here. But when you study Torah and do teshuvah and do mitzvot and do chesed and help people, you're not even in that place anymore. It's a different reality, a different person. And that's what the Gemara says, that one of the ways to do teshuvah is you have to change your name. So you don't have to go to the DMV and change your name. You have to change your actions until they don't recognize you anymore. They say, that's not David. That's somebody. That's not even. I don't even know that person. David was, that person over there. This one is acting so nice. So Hashem said, I'll never forgive them with the offerings, because it says en kategor na'asa sanegor. You know what that means? That a kategor is a prosecutor. The prosecutor cannot become your advocate. You use the sacrifices to go against Hashem, and that's your sin. Now you want to use the same sacrifices to ask for forgiveness, you have to use something else. So that's why it didn't work for them. But we shouldn't ever even think that there's no hope, chance, or door to do teshuvah. There always is, always was, and always will be. Anyways, so Shmuel hears this prophecy, and he also, Hashem, we're going to see, V'zat Hashem, that they're going to go to war. We're going to lose this at war. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to lose this at war. And Shemuel hears about that. And he hears that the children of Eli are going to die and all that. And this is what's happening over here. Vayishka Shmuel ad haboker, so he went to sleep and he opened the doors of the sanctuary. Vayikra Eli Shemuel, and he called Shemuel. Now Eli was woken up 3 times, right? So he said, I'm sure Shemuel got some sort of prophecy over here, right? And by the way, our commentators explain that the prophecy, so this is Shmuel is not allowed to go in certain areas of the temple because he's not a Kohen. Eli is allowed to go in certain areas of the temple. The prophecy came out of the temple, of the Holy of Holies, and went to Samuel. Even though he was sleeping farther away from the Holy of Holies. Holy of Holies, Eli is sleeping over here, and Samuel was sleeping over here, outside of that domain. By the way, this week's parasha taught us that there's a biblical commandment to guard the temple at night. So you had 24 guards in the temple. 21 of them outside and 3 of them inside. And the ones outside were only Levites, Leviim, and the one inside were Kohanim. So now the prophecy came to Samuel from the Holy of Holies inside, but it bypassed, it jumped over Eli, and it went to the recipient. Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu chooses the ones that he chooses. It doesn't matter where you are farther physically or not, he's going to give you that prophecy. So he calls it Shemuel and he says, what was the dream about? And he said, you better tell me, don't keep it away from me, and so on and so forth. Vayagid lo Shemuel, verse 18, Vayagid lo Shemuel, Shemuel told him everything that happened, V'lo kiched mimenu, we didn't lie, Vayomar, and then Eli said, Adonai hu, hatov be'enav yaseh, God will do the best that's in his eyes. Eli kind of accepted that. Vayida Shemuel vayah Adonai imo, V'lo yipil mikol devar v'arta vayida kol Yisrael midan v'yachshav, v'ki ne'eman Shemuel navi Adonai. And Shmuel grew up and God was with him. What does it mean that God was with him? Everywhere he went, everything he said that will happen, happened. And the people he knew all of Israel. What does it mean he knew all of the Jewish people? He was da'ato me'urevet im habriot. He was with them. He knew their birthdays. He knew what's happening in their life. He knew what their problems were. He knew what they're looking forward to. He knew the family dynamics. And he knew what's going on. By the way, Shmuel used to go all over Israel to teach them Torah. All over. And wherever he went, his house was with him. You know what that means? Can you, like a turtle, you take your house with you, like a turtle shell? Like a snail? He took everything he needed. You need salt, pepper, cheese. What do you need? Whatever you need. A knife, a spoon, a fork, a little table, a blanket, a tent, animal. Everything that he needed. Torah, tefillin, talit, everything. He didn't take a spoon from anybody. He didn't take a straw. Nothing. Wherever he went. So he went to do that, and he never even asked somebody, can you hold my bag for a second? That was like his very, and And it notes that about Shmuel because it's unusual, right? Because if you're so busy and you're doing so many things, you need help. Hey, do me a favor, print this for me, do that for me, bring that thing, pick it up. But it was very unusual about him. He was a very, very big tzaddik. Vayidע kol Yisrael midan be'ershava ki ne'eman Shmuel navi LaHashem. That Shemuel is faithful to be a prophet to Hashem. Why does the verse have to say that Shmuel was faithful? Just say that they knew he's a good prophet. So the commentators explain over here, ki ne'eman Shmuel, the Radak, Rabbi David Kimchi says, Kol ma she'aya omer, haya ba. Anything that he said would be fulfilled. And the Ralbag said that, so the Ralbag also said something else. Lamadnu mizeh, we learned from this, shemi shelo yapil mikol devarav arza, that a person doesn't change or back out of what he said or she said they will do. Even something small. I'll go here, I'll meet you there, I'll bring you that. Don't change. You keep your word. If you keep your word, lo yitztarech lenetinat oto mofet acher shu navi. You don't need anything else to, like, even let's say you're a prophet and you keep your word with your people. You don't need Hashem to convince them that you're a prophet, that everything is okay, you're faithful. And also in our life, the Gemara says you keep your word. That's one of the biggest blessings. And even for basic things. Anyways, now we're getting into this kind of like a little bit more of scary stuff. Vayi devar Shemuel lechol Yisrael. The word of Shemuel was lechol Yisrael. What does it mean lechol Yisrael? That everyone accepted him. Everyone accepted him, and they went with him. Vayetze Yisrael likrat Pelishtim, and Israel went for the Pelishtim. Who are the Pelishtim? Big enemies of the Jewish people. They don't like us very much. Okay? Now they had a war. It was inevitable. They had to go to war. Vayachanu ala even ha'ezer, and the Jewish people got all their soldiers to a place called Even ha'ezer. Even is a rock. Ezer means help. So they stood next to Even ha'ezer. Vayachu Pelishtim likat Israel, and then the Philistines came, and they outnumbered the Jewish people by so much. You can't believe there were so many. You couldn't even count them. They were like little specks of little dots. There were so many soldiers. And the Jews had soldiers, but not as many. But we'll see what happened now. Normally, Hashem does a lot of miracles for the Jews in war. But over here, the Jews were not acting well. And the children of Eli, again, were not doing the right thing. So this is going to be a war that we lose. We're losing this war. And that's what the Psukim say, that we're losing the war. The Philistines are killing us like you can't believe. And Vayinagev Yisrael lifnei Pelishtim, and they really wiped us out really badly. So the Jewish people said, what can we do? How can we ask Hashem for more help? So they said, we know what we'll do. We're going to bring this to the war. And our commentators, this is the tabernacle, the Aron HaKodesh. Now, it's not so simple. This thing is not very simple. It's not. When I say it's not simple, there's a dispute in the Gemara. How many of these we had? One opinion says we had two. One of them stayed in the camp of the Jewish people, and one of them was used to go out to war. The one that went out to war, now what's inside of this? So again, the tablets. Very good. So according to according to the opinion that there was only one, inside of this was the tablets, the broken tablets. On the side of it, they built a little shelf that had a Sefer Torah, and it had the man that we ate from heaven. There's another opinion that says that there were two of them. One of them had the tablets, the other had the broken tablets. And the one with the broken tablets would go out to war. And it's interesting that it would also shoot fire. It was like a machine gun. But only when Hashem wanted to help the Jews. When the Jews didn't listen, it didn't work. Nothing worked. It didn't work. And this was one of the sad times that they weren't listening to Hashem. And they said, well, let's bring this anyways, maybe it's going to help us. So they bring the Aron, and the Philistines, and when they bring it, they blow the shofar, they make a lot of sound, and now the Philistines are really scared. Like, oh my God, we know what happens when they bring this. When the Jewish people bring this to war, they win right away in 5 seconds. So they wanted to run away, the Plishtim. But then they told themselves, don't run away. If you run away, they're going to make us their slaves, and it's going to be very bad. Let's fight all the way. Even if we have to die, let's just fight all the way. And they fight the Jews, and they win the Jews, and very sadly, they steal this. We have to understand, it's just why it's so unusual to steal this. This thing is a very miraculous piece. It is part of the things that were in the temple. But as you know, in the temple, in the Bet HaMikdash, you had something called Kodesh. What does Kodesh mean? Holy. And then you had Kodesh HaKodeshim. What does that mean? Holy of Holies. Where was this? In the Holy of Holies. Now in the temple we had a menorah, a candelabra. We had a shulchan, a place that they put the bread. We had vessels to take and bring and do all these things and get the blood, all these different things. So every vessel you had in the temple was meant for a use for something, yeah? What was this for? Not used for a service in the temple. It was there to be there. And where was this? In Kodesh HaKodeshim. But you know what's unusual about this? You know what the size of the Kodesh HaKodeshim was? You know what this is? Amma. Either like this or like this. Let's just say like this, okay? 10 by 10. That was the Kodesh HaKodeshim.
Wow.
You know what size this was?
Bigger than that.
Same size.
Oh,
Wow.
So the Gemara says it was a miracle
then it was.
that this thing fit inside. You could take it in, you could take it out. So it was there, but it wasn't like part of the place. It was very, very miraculous. Like the
10
thing,
by 10.
the Kodesh HaKodeshim would somehow expand and this would somehow contract. And that it was this. Huh? It was this. Imagine this room and this table is the same size as the room. How do you bring it in? It doesn't fold, nothing. So that's why I said that Aron and Omin Aminyan. And there are a few miracles and very special things about this that I want to share with you that I got from this book over here. Number one, that we already said some of them, right? But there's a dispute whether or not you had to rebuild it if it was broken or shattered or lost or something like that, and whether or not you had to rebuild it. But King Solomon, when they built the new temple, when they built the first temple, he built all the artifacts, but he didn't rebuild this. He used the original one that they had, the one that we're talking about right now. And then another one is that we have to understand that you know where it was placed in the temple? It was placed above Even Hashtiyah. What is Even Hashtiyah? Anybody heard of Even Hashtiyah? It's called the rock of wellspring, the rock of water. It's basically where God created the world, the first point of matter, the first creation, the first physical space is exactly in the Holy of Holies, under the Holy of Holies. So where was this placed? Right above that. Right above that. And by the way, you know where Isaac, Akedat Yitzchak, where Abraham takes Yitzchak to, exactly that place also.
Wow.
And so where Yaakov Avinu has the dream with the ladder, exactly that place also. What's very sad is that it's very, very holy. And you know what's there now?
Mosque.
What?
The mosque is here.
The mosque. Inside the mosque, what is it? What do they call that mosque? The grand, I don't know. It's next El Aqsa, the one next to. So this is it right here, and they make it a holy place for them. And do yourself a favor, Jewish people are not even allowed to get close to this. Don't even think about it. You're not even allowed to fly over it. El Al doesn't fly over this.
Do they believe that
So-
Muhammad took off from that point?
Is that what they say?
Is that what they think?
I'm not sure. Something about, or
Yeah.
that Muhammad was.
Went to
Well, it
heaven
does.
from there.
Well, they say that Abraham didn't sacrifice Yitzchak. He sacrificed Ishmael.
You're right.
Oh, so maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Maybe.
that. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, it makes it easier, right? And then so I don't know the connection because they actually say that it was in Mecca and not over here. But let them deal with their problems. But either way, that's like the
If God gave
that's
that
where it
to-
was. It was right over there.
If God gave that to the Jewish people, why is it doing favors for others? Why is it in other people's territory now?
Well, we could have gotten it back in one of the wars, and we conquered it, but then we gave it back. I think it was Moshe Dayan gave it back. Very big mistake. Big mistake.
Like everything.
We had it and we gave it back.
I just read about that
Yeah.
earlier today.
Oh wow.
Really?
He literally just gave it back.
Yeah.
He had it in his hand. He said, you know what? Okay, just take it. Because when you know how precious Jerusalem is and how connected we are, because this is the place of who we are, you don't just give it back. But either way, so this is the Aron. Whenever we went to war, so now they're blowing the shofar, they're saying, hey, they're bringing the Aron Kodesh. I think we have to turn on the lights first. They're saying we're bringing the Aron Kodesh. They say we're bringing the Aron Kodesh. We're bringing the Aron Kodesh. The Philistines were very worried, but then they overcame that fear. They fought even stronger, and they stole this. Very sad. A lot of Jewish people died, and now this. Are you ready? Okay. So this is what happened over here. Go to chapter. Okay. Go to chapter. Oh no. So go to chapter 4, pasuk Yud Aleph, pasuk 11. Va'aron Elohim nilkach u'shnei bnei Eli metu Chofni u'Pinchas. So the tabernacle was taken, and the two children of Eli died. Chofni and Pinchas, they died. And now, Vayarotz ish Binyamin, a man from Binyamin ran me'ama'aracha from the war. Vayavo Shilo bayom ha'u madav keruim va'adama al rosho. So there's one person that survived. Not only one person, people survived the war, yeah? This guy from the tribe of Binyamin is running. After they stole the Aron HaKodesh, he's running back to the Jewish camp. And he came to Shiloh. What is Shiloh? Shiloh is where our temporary temple was. And Eli was there and everybody was there. And who is this, a person from Binyamin? Some say, the commentators say that it was Shaul. Before Shaul became king, it was Saul himself. And why did he run? Some say that, as we said, the tablets were in the tabernacle. Before it was stolen, he took out the tablets from there and he ran back with them to Shiloh. Not everyone agrees with that, because if you touch this, somebody touches this, they die. So it's very problematic to understand. Even when we had to carry it from place to place, you're only allowed to hold it on the poles. You can see the poles on the side over here. A little bit on the side. You can't see it so well. Let me see if there's poles here. If somebody touches it without the poles, they die on the spot. Here. See these poles?
Yes.
You're only allowed to pick the poles. And when you want to pick it up, you hold the poles, it picks you up. That's what it said. They were like, for all the cool, sci-fi stuff, it was right there. But either way, he runs back, and he tells, and then who sees him? And he comes and he sees Eli sitting on a chair. Derech mitzapeh. He's like looking forward. Who's gonna come back and give us some news? Because he's hearing, and he's seeing smoke, and he's understanding that something bad is happening in the war. So this guy's coming back to Eli, and people are screaming, and there's chaos and everything. He says, Makara, what happened? So this guy tells Eli, I'm sorry to tell you, and Eli was already Tishim v'shmona shana, he was 98 years old. So this guy says to Eli, I'm sorry, Mr. Eli Cohen, but we lost the war with the Philistines, and there was a big plague in the Jewish people, and your two children, Chofni and Pinchas, died, and the holy Aron was taken. When Eli hears this, he falls back from his chair, his head hits the ground, and he dies.
Wow.
98 years old. But, listen to this. You ready for this? Now the Philistines like, we took the Aron. You know what we're going to do now? We're going to show the Jews we took their Aron. As soon as they take the Aron, you know what happens to them? Really bad stuff. The worst ever in the world. You want to see this? Look He says over here. So we are in. Oh, by the way, so Eli had one of his daughter-in-law was pregnant with a baby, and when she heard this, she was in such pain and sorrow. She had more contractions, and she gave birth. And as she gave birth, she died, and she called her son Ikavod. Maze I?
Oh, ikava.
Kavod. What is kavod? Honor. Ikavod.
No.
There's a baby that's born. Hey, what's your name? No honor.
Poor guy.
Why? Because there's no kavod to the Jewish people now. After our Aaron was taken away from us.
But
She called her baby that. Later he's going to be mentioned in the book of Shmuel. But this guy...
Earlier in all of this, reading because
go ahead.
it says that when the guy came to tell him, כי היה ליבו חרד על הרון האלוהים. It looked like he was more worried about the Aron than really what happened in the battle. Because he knew that the Aron was them. So he was worried about the Aron.
Is it?
ויהי כהזכירות ארון אלוהים. Meaning that Eli Cohen died, not when he heard that his kids died, but when he heard the Aron was taken away. Correct. Very nice.
Yeah, I wonder which one is the
That
one
one.
that did it, you know? Was it, which loss?
Yeah, that was the one that did it.
You know, there's a person in American literature, the name was Ichabod Crane.
Really?
Ichabod. Yes, Ichabod.
Who is this?
A person.
Oh, there's somebody called Ichabod?
Somebody put it
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
know where it was.
Whoa.
The Headless Horseman?
The Headless Horseman, you're right.
What?
Ichabod Crane, yeah. It's an
It's
American
called,
legend.
it's a, I don't know.
You have to watch out what you call your kids, I'll tell you that much. You gotta, people just like throw names. So bad. It has a meaning, you know, it carries the child their whole life. Like it gives them certain like opportunities or... Anyways, so the Plishtim, chapter 5. Plishtim, verse 5. Chapter 5, the Plishtim take the Aron. They're very happy, right? You know what's going to happen now? Listen to this. ויביאוהו מאבן העזר אשדודה. So the first place that the Aron gets to is called Ashdod. Why does it say Ashdoda? That means to Ashdod. And they bring it over there to a place called Bet Dagon. What's a Bet Dagon? They had a god that his name was Dagon. What word is inside Dagon that you recognize? Dagon. Dagon. Dag. Their Avodah Zarah was a statue that from the belly button down was like a fish, and from the top was like a human being. Can you believe that? Like a mamash, crazy. So it was like a fish, but it had hands and feet. But it had like a tail, and from here was like a fish. And
The head was a human head.
let me see over here. What does it say here? Look. It says Dagon. Yeah, מטבורו ולמטה היה צור הדג, לפיכך נקרא דגון. From the belly button down, it looked like a fish. So they brought the Aron HaKodesh to Dagon, and they put it over there. Dagon was like a big statue, and they put, bless you, and then they put this right in front of the statue. I don't know what they're trying to do, but listen to what they're trying to do. As if this is less than the statue or something. Everybody goes to bed, they wake up in the morning, and they find that the statue fell to the floor. It's mounted to the ground. Statue fell on the ground, and it's like it's bowing down to this. So they're like, hey, maybe it was windy, maybe something happened. Okay, everybody bring it back up, put some cement, let's go. Okay, let's call it. Nothing happened, don't put it in the news, it's okay. The day is over, they go to sleep again. They wake up in the morning again. Again, it fell down, and this time, the hands and feet are broken off. And now they're saying, and their hand and feet are broken off, and then like, okay, this is very, very strange. So for them, they didn't say, oh, it's because of the God of the Jews or because of the holy thing. They said, maybe it's a very holy place for our God. So they never walked in that place. They said, we're not walking in this place again, very unusual thing. But then, what happened? על כן, okay. ותכבד יד אדוני אל האשדודים, וישימם, ויח אותם בתחורים את אשדוד ואת גבולה. Look at, again, chapter 5, verse 6. Hashem smacks the people of Ashdod because they took the Aron, and he hit them with tcholim. Now, tcholim is a medical condition today. I don't know what it's called in English. It's like a...
They say hemorrhoids.
Yes.
איך?
Hemorrhoids.
Hemorrhoids.
Okay, hemorrhoids. But it's not like that today. It's the same word like people have today, but it's not like that today.
Like with leprosy, it's not the same.
It's not the same. This is actually so bad. You can't even believe that there's such a thing that existed ever in the history of mankind. This thing over here was that God sent mice and they ate through their rectum, inside to their intestines, took out their intestines, everything from their rectum,
Oh my God.
and took it out. And that was their punishment. So people are like, okay, so, and that's when they used to go to the bathroom. So people are like, so we won't go to the bathroom anymore. And they started dying from that or being sick from that. And they said, okay, well, we're going to build a bathroom that is made out of steel, metal, and no mice can dig from underground. So they put metal sheets on the floor, and the mice couldn't get there. And you think Hashem, you could play games with Hashem? He told the mice, okay, get to work. So the mice would eat through the metal sheets, and now these guys are not scared, right? Nobody's coming now, we can go to the bathroom. We eat through the metal sheets and go again through their rectum and into their intestines and take out their intestines. The commentators say that this plague was worse than all the 10 plagues of Egypt together. Put together, all of them put together, this thing was worse than all of them. And that's what happened to the people of Ashdod. So they're like, okay, we tried Tylenol, we tried all the things. It's not really helping. Let's not make a big deal out of it, but let's try to move this from here. Maybe it has to do with this. Let's move this out of here. So this is now being relocated. And not only that, he also hit them with me'umah. What is me'umah? He gave them such a hit to all of Ashdod that nobody's ever been hit like that before in their life. Like all the plagues put together in one blow, boom. In Egypt, Hashem, every plague was the whole 10 plagues were a year long, yeah. But every one was 7 days, last 10 days. This one, all of them, boom. And because they messed with this. But you know what this represents today? The Torah. Anybody that goes against the Torah is essentially going against this. It's the same thing. That's why it's very, very sensitive not to go against the Torah, not to speak against the Torah, not to speak against people that study the Torah, not to try to change the Torah, not to, it's not real, it's not from Mount Sinai. It's the same thing, actually. It's very sensitive. It's very, very sensitive.
You're saying we don't have it.
We don't have this physical thing, but this, our commentators over here explain. This represents the Torah, right? Because it didn't have a function in the temple. Okay, they used it to light something. It was the holiness. It was the essence of everything. It was the heart. It was the heart of everything. And today, the heart of everything is the Torah. It's what plugs us together with Hashem. So very, very quickly, what happened here? It went from Ashdod. Okay. By the way, don't Christians have this thing with the fish also? I see it on the cars. The fish with the Christianity.
Yeah.
You know how they had a fish, an idol of a fish? Christians also, something with a fish. I didn't have time to look at the symbolism, but there's something with fish also. And the Metzudat Zion said why Dogon was the name of the Avodah Zarah, and the Radak said, yeah. Anyways, so then they sent him from there. They sent him from there to a place called Gat. And again, also in Gat, Hashem smites them like you can't believe. They get the same sickness with the mice eating their intestines. The Gemara in Masechet Avara says that if you swallow a wasp, the dabur, a wasp is dabur, like a big bumblebee, like on steroids. If you swallow those, if If you swallow a wasp,
Yeah.
a wasp, a bee can sting you once. A wasp can continuous stings more and more and more, and it doesn't die from stinging. And if you swallow a wasp, well, we can give us medical advice here. I've never seen that before. But it said that's why you got to watch out if there's wasps. Don't open your mouth too wide. Don't swallow wasps because they keep stinging inside. And if they go inside the person, you can't heal from it. The only thing you could do is maybe drink vinegar to give you time so you could write a will. But you'll never live. You swallow a wasp. This was back then. Maybe today is different. Maybe they can cut. You swallow a wasp, the person will die. Why? Because it's an internal thing that they can't get to it. It's traveling inside the thing. So he said over here, the problem with the tchorim, with the mice, is that they used to go through, as we said, through that, and they used to go in their intestines, and they would just hang out inside, have lunch, eat whatever they want, and so nobody could heal from it, and that was their problem. So it went from Ashdod to Gat, and then it went to Ekron. And then the people in Ekron, those that didn't yet die, and they were still sick, they prayed to Hashem, and as the end of Perek Hey says, Vatan Shavatam, Hashem heard their cry, even though they were evil, they were bad, and everything, and they said Vatan Shavatam, and their scream went up to Hashem. We still have one more chapter to see, but from here we see the miracles that Hashem does with the Jewish people, even when they're not doing the right thing, even when their tabernacle is taken away from them. There's still plenty of miracles. And Bezat Hashem Bli Neder. Are we around next week? You guys are away? Looks like some people are away. You want to have classes again like in Chanukah? What do you want? Huh? Yeah, I know. I'm just wondering if it's a time. Not okay. You're here. Okay. All right. Very beautiful to learn together, and we should always keep on learning and growing. Amen.